What's going on YouTube? Welcome to episode 113 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button helping me and supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And also, don't forget to join the Discord channel. I'll have a link in the description below. Right now I have a poll going on for what my next ship build is going to be. And if once you join the Discord, I have a link below on the description. Be sure to join. Click on the next build poll tab and vote on what ship you want to see me do next. Also, if you can help me out and share my videos, I would really appreciate it because right now I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and once I do, I'm going to be doing a tutorial on the U.S.S. Enterprise A from Star Trek Beyond, and I've got some concept art that I put up on the Discord channel where you can check it out to see what exactly that ship is going to look like, because I'm not doing one for one how the ship looked on the movie. I thought that we can improve on it a little bit. But yeah, that's going to be coming up. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into today's episode. We got about a 23-minute episode, and we're going to be focusing on getting some more exterior detailing done on the Enterprise D. Because, it's when you take away the Aztecing, there's still a lot that we can add in, and I've talked about this a little bit before, that you just have to know where to look for some of this stuff. And some of the best references that you can hit, believe it or not, is different models. And in this case, or in my case, what I ended up doing is searching. I looked online the Eagle Moss model from that they had done for the Enterprise D, and I used that as a main reference. And then there was also a toy. I want to say that it was the toy from Generations. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. That I used that as another reference. Because once you get take away the Aztecing on the ship, it's kind of hard to figure out what type of detailing or what detailing you can add in. And really, the best way to tackle that is just be very eagle-eyed in the details that you can find, because there are details that you can find. There's a ton of it. You just have to really scour the ship and find them, because this, at the end of the day, it's a big ship. But we're going to be getting some of that in today. We're going to be mostly focusing on our windows, and then also our white terracotta escape pods, and then we're going to be getting some detail right in the front of the bridge. As I'm telling you, like right now it doesn't look like we're adding that much, but little by little we are slowly detailing our ship. And as somebody pointed out to me, and it's a great analogy that I'm going to be using now going forward, that sometimes when you start these things out, it's not quite clear how it's going to go and how it's going to turn out. But over a period of time, if you give it time and you're willing to take the time to add in all these details, it's just, and this is one of the other things I say too, is that it's just one step at a time. But when you start adding all these steps together, that's really when all of it starts to pay off. And you see all of your work come together, accumulated. And that's literally what we have right now. We've spent 112 episodes building this thing out, which is crazy. It's the biggest tutorial that I've done to date. And people have been sticking with it, so I thank you guys for that. I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to keep people's attention span for this long. Because before this, the longest tutorial I had, I think, was the Disco Era Enterprise, and that was only like 84 or 85 episodes or something like that. And there's still more that we have to do on this thing. We're not going to be done on the Enterprise D for a while. But, rest assured, I'm going to be doing this thing until it's done. And I can't wait for that day, because I think this is probably going to be my best build that I've done to date. Now, I'm my own biggest critic in that regard, trust me, because I will sit there and I will critique my work and figure out ways to make it better. But basing this off of the other builds that I've done in the past, like this thing, like there's really not that much else that I could have improved on it, even where I'm currently at. Like, I think the only two areas I'm like not 100% satisfied on, and I've said this before, is within the neck and the deflector dish. But I've gone back and I've done them and I've redone them a few times to the point where it's like it's gotten about as good as it's going to get. So I'd say like the satisfaction level, that's why I say like it's within like the 98th percentile, because those 2 points, the deflector dish and the neck, While they look great, I'm not 100% satisfied with them. But I think that's, that's going to be normal. There's always going to be one or two things that you could have, that you wish you could have done a little bit better. And I mean, if it only comes out so good, I mean, hey, maybe that's just the best that you can do at that time. Just kind of take it for what it is, and if you can't improve upon it, move on from it and work on something else or a different area of the ship. I mean, um, but I was lucky enough that what I was able to do with both the neck and the deflector dish, I was happy enough with it that I was able to walk away from it and move on to a different area. But this is really the exciting part. You know, now that we've gotten our ship completed, the outside shell of it, it's adding in all those details. This is all the stuff that's going to help this ship come to life and really make it pop. Because right now it's really just, the canvas is starting, well, I don't want to say canvas. We've done our sketch and pencil, and now we're adding in the pen, and we're slowly starting to add in the colors. I threw in an artist analogy there because at heart that's what I am. Um, but this thing, it's starting to look pretty good. But imagine how good it's going to look once we get all the detailing in. That's really the point that I want to make today. And it's going to take a little bit of time for us to get there, but man, this thing, I can't wait. You can see, of course, I'm just taking my time here. Now you can see some of these blocks I'm building down. I was originally intended just to go down all the way, but I think on these rows where I'm at right now, I'm only going down one block, because if I go down any more than that, I'm pretty sure we're in the shuttle bay. And I didn't necessarily want shuttle or windows in the shuttle bay, because that's just not something that you see when you, and the screenshots that I've seen of the primary shuttle bay anyway. So just more facade windows. Now rest assured, some of these windows that we're adding in, they won't be facades, I promise you. We will use them, but this is something I was talking about in the previous episode, that these windows that we're adding in, some of these extra windows, are really going to help us to sell the scale of the ship. And if you built this out to the same dimensions that I did, then as of right now, we've got a half-scale Enterprise D. And that's just the way it is, because I've only got, I think, 21 decks total on this thing, but the real Enterprise D, I think, is 41 or 42 decks, so it's just a little bit smaller than half the size, which is crazy, because you think of how big this thing is in Minecraft. Imagine how big a full-scale Enterprise D would have to be. That thing would be so massive that the saucer itself wouldn't even fully be in render distance. We'd have a very, very difficult time not only building this thing out, but building it out where it be proportioned to the whole to the entire ship. As that is something that I do. One of the reasons my ships come out so accurate is because I have an order that I build these things in. I start with the neck, or excuse me, I start with the saucer and work my way down to the neck to the lower hull. But I proportion everything off of the saucer. That's why I always say that the saucer is such a vital part of the build, because that can totally make it or break it with the rest of the ship. Because if that's off, the rest of the ship might be off a little bit too. I'm thinking that we're going to add in a couple more rows here to give us 4 rows just on the upper side of the lip. Because when you think about it now, we've got 4 here, and then we've got 1 that we've added on the underside so far, so that's 5, and then 6, 7. So that's given us 7 decks, as opposed to really, if you count every single deck that's on the Enterprise D right now with the saucer, we've got our captain's yacht, which really doesn't count, but I'm going to count it anyway. Then we've got our entertainment deck, crew quarters, medical bay, primary shuttle bay, and then the bridge, which brings us up to 6. And you're probably thinking like, well, that's not really making the ship look that much bigger because you've only got 7 rows of windows. That's where I say patience, because this is just what we've added in so far. Once we add in more rows to the underside of the saucer, then that's going to blow it up, and then we're going to start getting to where it's looking like we have 10, 11, and 12 decks or more just on the saucer alone, and that will really help to sell the scale of the ship. No, this thing is actually looking pretty good so far. I'm really digging all the windows that we have going, and like making the Enterprise D, like, I'm glad that I actually added in all these windows, because before it did look very it looked very bare. Really didn't have a lot there, and it needed it, because the windows are such an imperative part of the design of the Enterprise D that it wouldn't look right if it didn't have them. And I think we're in pretty good shape so far. We're just taking our time adding these in one section at a time, staying within our pattern. Now on these upper rows here, you can see, especially in the middle, I really wasn't going off of rows of 4, 2, and 1. And even right here in some of these rows, I'm going off of a 2 and I'm building off the corner. So there are going to be exceptions where you can get away with that rule. But I think the main thing is that where it just matches up. Because I've gone back and forth at this point. I've gone off the rule of 2, I've gone off the rule of 4 and 1, and now I'm going off of building off of a 2, but building it on the corner because I didn't want to go 2 out. And to be honest with you, if you want to go 2 out, you can. But I think the main reason why I'm not doing it right here is because, again, I'm trying to have smaller windows. Because the way I look at it is that the smaller the windows are, the ship looks a little bit bigger with those smaller windows. As opposed if we just had a pattern of 2 going all the way across, it might not look as big. Now, if you like that pattern of 2, I say go for it. Again, there's a million and one ways to build this thing out, and just because I'm using a pattern of 1 doesn't mean you have to do it. You can easily get away with doing it in a pattern of 2. And to save time, you can see as I'm going row to row, I'm just doing all 3, so this way I don't have to come backtrack and do the other rows again. We are going to have to do that 4th and 5th row, but I don't even think that I've added those even where I'm at now. Actually, I might have added a couple more rows, but that's going to be something, those top 2 rows on the upper side of the saucer, we'll be panning back to that at a later date. Because I was kind of just like, I got those few in, I kind of wanted to let it marinate and see if I wanted those extra decks in there. But now that I've had that extra time, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to add these in as well. I just haven't gotten around to adding these extra sets of windows. And that was the other thing that I was talking about, as far as what I have left to do on the Enterprise D. That's really it on the outside of the ship anyway. I have to add these extra rows of windows in here, and then I have to do the registration, and then the outside of the ship is pretty much done. There might be like 1 or 2 tiny details that I might add at a later point during the tutorial. But as far as stuff that I have planned to do, that's pretty much it. And I think that's one of the other reasons why I've been getting so excited on this build, is because I've been working on it over a year, and I'm finally getting to the point where I can call this, or I'm starting to hit the check mark on different areas of the ship, and it's getting to the most completed state that it's ever been in during the course of this build. Because I'm not going to lie, like at one point it didn't seem like I was ever going to finish this build. So for those of you that are thinking like, oh my god, this is taking so much time, trust me, I feel you. I've been right there with you, episode to episode, and there are times where I felt the same way. And if you feel like you're getting burnt out, I say this all the time, like, take a break from Minecraft, play something else. Minecraft's not going anywhere. I think one of the main things that I love about Minecraft and this tutorial series, that when I'm doing these tutorials, I'm not thinking about anything else, especially all this craziness that's going on in the world right now. This is something that can help take my mind off of things. And it's very relaxing because in this, 20 minutes or if you're doing a couple of episodes at a time, maybe an hour or two or whatever, within that time frame, you're not thinking about anything else other than this build. And I think that's great because it gives you a chance to not think about anything within that time. This is where I kind of like compare to what I'm doing to drawing, because that's the only other thing where I have that same experience. When I'm drawing, I'm not thinking about anything else because my mind is focused on what I'm making. Even like when I play other video games, like I don't have that level of concentration that I have when I'm playing Minecraft, because I'm just so focused on what I'm designing that I don't really have time to think about anything else other than what I'm doing. And it's so relaxing, And if that's you've had that same experience, hey, let me know in the comments section. Because I've had a few people recently, tell me um, that they've had similar experiences playing Minecraft. I think that's pretty cool because it makes me realize that I'm not alone and that other people play this game for the same reason, just to kick back, relax, and enjoy it. Because, it's funny, like when I first started doing this, my videos, one of my friends told me, like, what's the point of what you're doing, with this? Like, you can't do anything with them. And I just told him, like, well, like, what's the difference between making this ship in Minecraft and building a model? Like, you can't do anything with the model, it's just going to sit there on your desk. And that's just kind of how I look at these. Like, I'm making a model within a video game. I think that's one of the reasons why I got into Starship Evo when I did, because I wanted to take that to the next level and be able to play around with some of the builds that I had done. And I'm sure I have some people that are on my channel that have been waiting for me to do another Starship Evo build, but I've honestly just been waiting for them to do more with it, because like it seems like every time I take a break from it, they add some things to it and change up the mechanics here and there. So like I wanted to take a good chunk of time away from Starship Evo, and hopefully by the time I come back, they give me a significant reason to continue playing the game. I know that they actually started to add in some story missions for Starship Evo. I think that's definitely necessary. I think that's pretty cool that they did that. Um, I, but there's some other things that I want to see them add. I want to see more of a survival aspect added into this game, and not just about the ship combat. As much as that's vital, and they need to continue doing that, though. I want to be able to, land on planets if I want to, and explore planets in the vast universe. That's where they can really take No Man's Sky as a reference and see what they did with No Man's Sky, and maybe figure out a way to make that better. Um, and there's other things too, like you know, because they've really have gone out of the block building, and they've been able, you can make fully formed objects now, but it's still off of that block template. I'd like to see them add like circular building mechanics, um, more options, just more and more accessories and options with building. Even having the customization options to make your own clothing, like completely custom clothing, things like that. This would be fantastic. I think these are things that would help that separate that game from pretty much everything else that's out there, just all the customization options. But again, it's just I'm at a waiting point to see if they hopefully do these things. I haven't given up on Starship Evo. I think out of all the other builder games that I've played, Starship Evo is probably the best next to Minecraft because of the current structure that it has. But with that being said, after I've done a couple of builds, there's really not that much to do with the game. That's one of the reasons why I've been so focused on Minecraft, because yeah, you can fly the ships around in Starship Evo, but once at the end of the day, once you get them built out, aside from the new bounty hunting missions that they added in, there's really not that much else that you can do with the ships. So that's why I like to see them add even more types of variety of alien species that you can come across, and being able to explore planets, giving us reasons to be able to get on the game other than just building and use our ships. I think that would be fantastic. So hopefully they'll add that stuff as time goes on. And I can tell you right now, if and when they do, you'll definitely see me doing videos again on Starship Evo. Because I said this before, that Minecraft and Starship Evo are probably going to be my main building games with an exception of every once in a while, throwing in some Planet Coaster builds. Um, and I'm sure even when Arc 2 comes out, I'll probably end up doing some videos on that. I had a couple when my channel first came out for like the original Arc, and I haven't done any in such a long time, and that's honestly because there's so many people doing Arc builds right now. I wanted to do something that one I can just focus on and really, really enjoy, and maybe stand out a little bit. But with that being said, when Arc 2 comes out, I'll probably end up doing videos on that as well. But you won't see me get away from doing anything what I'm currently doing right now. If anything, you'll just see me expand upon what I'm currently doing. So it'll be my Minecraft videos in addition to Starship Evo, in addition to Planet Coaster, Arc 2, so on and so forth. But I think I kind of want to stay within that realm of building games. And even though, like even with Ark, it's more of a survival game, it still has that building mechanic. So I think I can get away with that in that regard. And I'll have people comment, giving me advice on, games I should try out. And if, there's a game that I haven't mentioned, be sure to drop a comment below. Let me know in the comments section. I'll definitely at least check it out. I can't promise I'll buy it and play it, but I'll at least watch a video on it. Because, I mean, there's certain things I look for in games, especially with the survival games. I think for me, like, I want to be able to have that customization build option where I can really kind of like express myself and just enjoy the game, because I think that's one of the things, like when most of the games that I play these days, because I still like play shooters and stuff like that every once in a while, but like I think the main thing that really hasn't changed about me as I've gotten older is that, I love building games. I actually started off doing this with Roller Coaster Tycoon, believe it or not. I absolutely loved Roller Coaster Tycoon. I played that game all the time. I played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. Not so much Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. I was kind of disappointed with 3. And then I even played Roller Coaster Tycoon World, which I thought was kind of terrible compared to the other ones. And then, of course, Planet Coaster came out, and I loved that game. But, that kind of like opened the door for me, like as far as getting into building stuff in video games. Anyway, getting a little what we got going on here is I'm kind of just talking about some random stuff today. We're adding in some of our detailing here on our hull, other than windows. And I'm just focused on the front area of the bridge right here, and it kind of has like a pattern similar to this. And I'm trying to throw something down that kind of looks like it, but maybe not necessarily exactly like it. Because one of the things too is that when you build something in Minecraft, it doesn't always translate that well from the real world into Minecraft. So sometimes you just kind of have to take an exception with it and see where it goes. But that's why I say, like, it's so important to be willing to experiment and try out different things. And if you're in a phase where it's like, oh, I want to try some stuff out, I make a recommendation, make a couple of extra saves of whatever you're going to be experimenting on that world. So this way, if you decide that you don't like it, you don't have to go back and delete all that stuff and fix it. You can just revert to that previous save, and the one that you just experimented on that you don't like, you just delete it and move on. I can't say that this row that I just added here, I'm not really feeling it. It's doesn't look all that great. We could even maybe do white concrete, less of such a dark color, and it would still give some texture to the ship. It wouldn't be so sharp. This is one of the reasons why I take my time when I'm doing detailing, because sometimes you have to do a little strip like that, just even going across here, just to see what it looks like and see if that's going to work, as opposed to throwing down a whole bunch of other stuff, because I'll look at that area, I'll look at other areas in the ship, and I mean, I try to gauge everything together to see what works and what doesn't work. So we're going to add in a couple more rows on the upper side of our saucer, but I think we're only going to do like 2 or 3 more rows of what we have right now, because for what I remember, I haven't gotten very far on it. I think I only actually go up to here and then I stop, because now what I'm doing, because I don't want every single deck with my windows to be exact. You don't want that because then it's going to look kind of funky. So what I do with my top 2 decks, I swap my windows. And what I mean by that is that every row for this deck right here where I have windows, I'm doing them in between on the next row up. As opposed to where I've come down here on these 2 decks, they match perfectly. But I think if you stick to that pattern going back and forth between the two, you get a nice variety of where things aren't, lining up exactly in the same place. For some reason, for the windows, for at least me anyway, if all the windows are in the same spot going up the ship, it doesn't look right, because if you look at a model of the Enterprise D, that's not the case, and I think that's why it sticks out in my mind that no, like we need to like switch up the pattern that we're doing a little bit, so this way it's not exact and it kind of just looks a little bit nicer. But I think this looks fantastic, as you can see what I mean here when you start counting in all these rows that we have going on here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 just up here, and it really helps to sell the scale of this thing. It looks fantastic. But we shot through 23 minutes today. We're making some pretty good progress, but I think that's going to wrap us up. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning into today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can always catch my new Minecraft episodes dropping Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And of course, if you have any questions regarding today's episode, or just want to drop by and say hey, or show me some of the stuff that you've been working on, be sure to drop a comment below, either on my YouTube channel or in Discord. Definitely love hearing from everybody. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And of course, what did you make of Minecraft today?